Yo, it's your boy Triborough and Reg back again. That Ain't Rap Podcast. And we're doing another movie review. And I've been in a movie mood right now, and especially when it comes to black cinema and good black cinema at that, not like the ghetto hood shit
Mm.
that we've come across for so many years. I think black cinema in general has gotten better, and this is one of those films where I feel like I don't see a lot of movie bloggers and critics discussing it. I wanted to discuss this film, and I came across it from the homie Ronnie from the chat, and he said he recommended the movie to me, and I was like, let me check it out, and I seen the trailer on Netflix, and the movie the movie was done like 3 years ago, and then Netflix bought the rights,
Yeah.
and I saw the trailer and it had Nas in it. I'm like, okay, Nas is in it. I haven't seen Nas in the film in forever, so um, I said let me check it out. And ASAP Rocky is in it, and I'm not really a huge fan of ASAP Rocky's music, but I know he's been acting here and there. He's been modeling and stuff, dating Rihanna. So I know the guy Kelvin Harris the guy Kelvin Harrison Jr. I saw him. He's the main lead in this film. The film is about a 17-year-old honor student in high school. He's a photographer. Comes from a good, I would say like a good black middle class home. Jennifer Hudson plays his mom, and Jeffrey Wright plays his father. And he gets he gets caught up with the wrong crowd, the wrong place, wrong time, and the thug in this film, or the thugs in this film are being played by ASAP Rocky and John David Washington. That's Denzel's son. You know him from Tenant and Ballers on HBO. And he gets caught up with the wrong crowd, and he ends up being a part of a crime that went down at a corner store bodega in his neighborhood, and ends up going to jail. And we see the events of what happens when an honor roll student goes from the classroom into the legal system, and he has a trial that takes place. And Kelvin Harrison Jr. I know him from Godfather Harlem. He played Teddy Green in season one. Spoiler alert: he ends up getting killed in season one. He was dating an Italian white woman, and her father was going to war with Bumpy Johnson um, in on the show, and they still going to war. As a matter of fact, and the father forbid his daughter to date to date Teddy, so he ended up offering him and lying about it or whatever. But I thought he was decent in on Godfather Harlem, and I've seen him in some other things, some videos and stuff, and he's the main character here as the 17-year-old honor student. And the movie was directed by Anthony Mandler. Um, I'm not familiar with his stuff. They said he did a lot of videos, like he did some stuff for Spice Girls and Jay-Z and Beyonce, and but Monster is actually his first film, and he has another film called Surrounded. There's no date for that yet, and I thought the movie I've seen movies like this in the past, where like the honor roll student hangs out with the wrong crowd, and then they end up getting in trouble. I've seen movies like that in the past, um, but it was a nice little story, and seeing this guy that was into photography, and he had a girlfriend, and he came from a good home. He just made a bad decision, and I think it was because like his character was like he wasn't like a real popular cat in school. It was more of like a loner, and he wanted to fit in. He wanted to be cool, and the neighborhood kids in on his block, they were like more street oriented, and he wasn't about that life, and they was, and ASAP Rocky's character, he plays James King, and he was a thug, you know what I'm saying, and he rolled with a bunch of thugs and crooks. John David Washington, his character is Bobo, Richard Bobo Evans, and Bobo was a straight thug. He was just all about getting money, and if he had to run over you, he was gonna do it. And he never really liked Steve's character when Steve and James were like kicking it, and you know it's I've been in that situation actually, like growing up on the block where you have some of the neighborhood kids were like more street oriented, and they fuck with you, but it was like they didn't have the life that I had. Like I was more fortunate, more middle class, and they were more, they came from like a poverty stricken home, so they're gonna naturally envy what you have because they don't got it.
Right.
And I felt like with ASAP's character with James, he was the street cat, but it was like I felt like he low key envied what Steve was doing. Like he was going to school, he was getting good grades, making his parents proud, and I felt like he low key was not jealous of him, but he kind of envied him. You know what I'm saying? And he used them to get what he wanted because he knew that Steve wasn't from the same walk of life as him, and he was naive, and he used them to get what he wanted, because anybody else would have caught on to what was what was gonna go down at what they were plotting at the corner store. And I think Steve was very very naive about that. I felt like he was smart enough to know what was going down, but he went along with it because he wanted to be cool and fit in to the neighborhood kids.
Yeah.
And you see that stuff happen all the time. So um, I think he was just made a bad decision, and he ended up realizing that once he got caught. First of all, the whole way that they caught him, I don't even think was realistic. You know what I'm saying? They I guess they looked at the surveillance tape. Forgot the guy, the cop that brought him in. I've seen the cop that in him, the guy that played the cop in other shows and stuff. But the way that they brought him in is like like he was like supposed to be like some great detective, and he was going by footage, and I don't even know how they got him. I guess they're going by the footage, because I don't think he dropped anything or left any fingerprints anywhere, and he casually shows up to the parents' house and asks for Steve, and then Steve comes downstairs, and then he already got a cop there ready to arrest him. Like usually they would, if you like a situation like that where you kill the owner of a bodega, especially if you black, they're gonna barge right in your house. They're not gonna just knock on the door and talk to
Right.
your parents politely. That part to me was unrealistic. I'm like, that's not real. They don't really do that. You know what I'm saying? Because if you black from the hood, and you pull off a robbery like that at a corner store, they're gonna barge right in. They're not even gonna be polite and make small talk with your parents. So that part to me was fake. But it like once he got into the system, I think he's never been to prison. I think he realized it's it's a totally different world in prison, and you had people, Jennifer Hudson plays his mom, Miss Harmon, and when she comes to visit him, and he's getting like dirty looks from the inmates in there. He's on the phone, talking to his mom, and they yelling at him to get off the phone and shit. And I felt like he kind of lost all hope because he didn't feel like he was gonna get a fair case, and didn't feel like he was gonna you know get off and be innocent. And the girl that plays his lawyer, Jennifer and Ellie, I guess I'm saying it right. She's a British actress. Um, she's been on Pride and Prejudice, and she's been on Broadway. She plays Maureen O'Brien, his assigned lawyer, because he I don't that was I think that was the lawyer that um the courts assigned as lawyer. That most of those lawyers, they don't give a damn about your case anyway. Like when
Hell,
unless you go out and actually spend money on a lawyer, they could care less about your case. And I speak from experience, because you know what I'm saying, I got into like a little bit of trouble years ago, and I had to get my own lawyer. When you get your own lawyer, it's all about you, and you have to get a good lawyer that they have a good track record. Not some lawyer where he ain't win a case in like 10 years. You got to get a good lawyer that he ain't lose a case at all, or he ain't lose a case in a very long time. That's when they make it all about you. When you get one of these court assigned lawyers, they could give a damn about your case. You're just like another, you know, case to them. That's, you know what I'm saying. They could care less about, what you did or what you didn't do. So the fact that he got a court assigned lawyer for his case, and she actually cared about his situation, which is very rare because they usually don't. And she actually cared about his case, and she knew from off the bat that he didn't do this crime. Like he was a naive kid who wanted to fit in, and he got caught up with the wrong people, and he was there at the wrong time, and that's what went down. But they don't see that. They just see young black man, with a bunch of thugs, and they're just gonna bunch him in with them, unfortunately. But um, he saw like the insides of jail, and you know it's totally different compared to what he was used to. And Nas was in it, and he plays Raymond Sunset Green, and he was an inmate, but he was like one of those insightful inmates. And it's almost funny, like I felt like Nas's character reminded me of his character in Belly.
that's what I thought too.
You know what I'm saying? Because it
Yeah,
was like, I'm like, yo, this could be the same character from Belly that Nas played. I forgot it is the name of his character in Belly. But
boy
he
got
had,
caught up.
huh?
He got caught up and shit.
Right. He had that same type of wisdom in Belly. You know what I'm saying? And I'm like, Nas is playing one of these philosophical niggas in prison. And I always like used to wonder, like, do they become, philosophical once they in prison, or are they always like that? Because if you was always like that, then what the hell did you do to get yourself in prison? If you got all this knowledge and self awareness, and I never understood that. You know what I'm saying? All these cats that
Right,
go to prison, and they Muslim, and they practice, the Quran and 5% and all this, and you know what I'm saying. But you in prison, and you're doing like life in prison and shit. So he was one of them cats, and just giving Steve some words of wisdom, and telling him to keep his spirits up, and looking out for him. He bought him food. He was like, yo, like when he bought him the tray of food, he's like, yo, I don't get a thank you. And at that point, I'm like, yo, what kind of thank you you wanting? You know what I'm saying? Because I mean, you in prison. Like when a dude say shit like that, I'm like, what kind of thank you want? You know what I'm saying? Like I'll give you that, but nothing else. You know what I'm saying? So um, but he was like a dude, like I was looking out for Steve, and um like his father is when his father came to visit him in prison, and he was you could tell like his father was hurt, but his parents knew that he didn't do that shit, that he was just at the wrong place at the wrong time, and he made a terrible mistake, and hopefully he get a second chance, and he can bounce back from all of this. But you could tell like in his father's eyes, like he was hurt that he had to see him in prison for something that he didn't even do. And I think Steve was disappointed in himself for letting that whole thing go down, and he was like replaying the whole, like the flashback scenes were good. He was replaying the whole thing in his head, and damn, like I shouldn't have waited out, been the lookout at the store for them, and you know what I'm saying. So
Yeah.
I thought it was a good film, and I like the flashback scenes when while Steve was in prison, you see the flashback scenes of him and his girlfriend, and they chilling, they like flirting in class, and um he's like in his class with his teacher, and they're talking about, I forgot what they were talking about exactly in the class, but they have like the flashbacks in the classroom and the flashbacks with with Steve and his mom at home, and his little brother, and his little brother looked up to him, and the flashbacks with him and his pops when he was like um uh going to see his pops in the morning, and his pops was like, yo, like I got like $20 on the table for you, you know, do good on your math test today. And I like the flashback scenes. I thought those were good. So it was a nice little film, Denzel's son, John David Washington. I didn't care for his character. I think
Me neither.
he's a little at this point in his career. I think he was beneath playing a thug. That role could have been given to anybody else. You know what I'm saying? I just didn't feel like he was convincing as a thug to me, because when I see him in the role, I see Denzel's son. You know what I'm saying? Like I see like this dude from Tenet. Like, why are you playing the thug? This is beneath you now. So maybe he did it for a check,
Right.
but I thought it was a good film. ASAP Rocky's performance was cool. Nothing too outstanding about it. It wasn't no Oscar performance. He did his thing or whatever. He was believable. You know, I thought it was good. I thought it was a good film. Kelvin Harrison Jr. did his thing as the main lead, and the lawyer Jennifer Ehle, she was good as well. The prosecutor I couldn't stand him at all, because he was like a real dickhead, and he wanted so badly to put this black kid in prison because he fit the description. Oh, they're all the same as what he told Steve's lawyer, and he was just out to like make an example out of him and just put him away because he didn't feel like he deserved his freedom again. And that's usually the outcome of a lot of those innocent people that are behind bars, because they get railroaded by prosecutors that don't give a damn about their case, and it's just on to the next one for them, and some of them are like wrongfully accused, not knowing that these people are somebody too, and they have lives, and they probably got caught up the same way that Steve got caught up in it. And he was a real dickhead. I didn't care for him at all, and you know it was like a very your regular type of felony, but the way that it played out in with the trial, it almost seemed like it was bigger than it should have been. You know what I'm
Right.
saying? And it was a good film. It was a nice little film. I enjoyed it. So what did you think about everything?
I mean, personally, it was a solid movie. Personally,
Yeah.
but it did have like I felt like some of the pacing in the movie was kind of off a little bit.
Right.
Some of the actors, like Jeffrey Wright and Denzel's son, I felt like some of them were just wasted on this movie.
Hmm.
I'm not saying that the movie was all bad. There were some good things too, but it was just like kind of predictable, kind of generic. And if you guys have read the book, that was released back in the day. It was like a lot more gritty, and a lot more darker and shit.
Oh,
So,
There's a book for this.
yeah,
I didn't know that.
yeah, I should still have the book. If I see it, I'll send you a picture for
Oh,
it.
you read the book.
Yeah, I read it back in high school.
Oh wow. So there was more juicier details in the book that they left out, or no?
Yeah.
Oh wow, I didn't know that. So what like you reading the book, like what would you have liked for them to like include in the book that they left out? I mean, including the movie that they left out.
Shit. Repeat that question. My phone was breaking.
I was saying, like, being that you read the book, like, what would you have liked for them to include in the movie that they left out of the book?
To be honest with you, man, more of the father's reaction, how he was going through with it.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. I felt like with the book, and it's been years since I've read the book, but from what I remember, you had like different characters, give their perspective. I know it's supposed to be primarily with like the boy's character, of course, but still,
Right.
I don't know, man. I just felt like they played a little bit safe with the movie, of course.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, I felt like the even like the dialogue in the movie was just so predictable.
Right.
You just knew what was going to happen next
Mm-hmm.
and shit like that. Acting wise, I felt like the acting was pretty good. Um, what's his name? What's his name? Nas. Nas pretty much like you said, we was doing his belly character,
Mm-hmm.
just doing like his old giving advice and shit like that. I don't know. He was
Right.
just, of course, you guys. I think he was like one of the executive producers of this movie, if I'm not mistaken.
Right.
Who else? ASAP Rocky. I mean, he pretty much played the same character for the Dope movie,
Mm-hmm.
but he still did his thing and shit like that. I like that scene near the end where he was found guilty and they didn't have to say the words and shit like that. He just started wilding out and shit.
Right.
Um, Definitely, I love the family scenes when he's looking at this little bro.
Mm-hmm.
Just that whole family structure and shit like that. Because one thing about like these police movies, they always try to show like a single parent. So seeing like a nuclear family was
Exactly.
kind of refreshing to me.
Mm-hmm. I agree.
Yeah. The lady that played the public offender, she did a thing in the movie. I forgot her name. I've seen the other shit.
Her name is Jennifer Ellie.
Yeah, Jennifer Ellie. Okay.
Yeah.
Um. Oh well, that's what I think about the movie. Nothing too major.
And even like the scene, like this is why I said like the dude. I finally got his name. His name is Johnny Coyne. He played Detective Call. He was a he was the cop that went to the house and got picked up Steve or whatever. But the prosecutor, what's his name? I just saw his name here too. Um, Paul Ben Victor. He was a prosecutor. He played Anthony Petrocelli. He was a real dickhead because he bought in Steve's teacher, what's his name, Leroy Sawicki, played by Timothy Blake Nelson. He brought in the teacher of his class and like grilling him about, oh well, do you really know Steve as this? Because the teachers there vouching for the student. And he's like, yeah, Steve was a good kid. He's good in my class. He would never do something like this. And the prosecutor's like, well, how well do you know Steve after he leaves your class and he goes home? Do you follow him when he goes home? You don't know what he's doing or who's he associated with.
I'm like, nigga, please, we don't know what you doing when you go home. What's
Right,
up?
exactly. I'm like, well, if that's the case, shit. If you have a wife, do you know where what your wife is doing after she leaves your house and goes to work, and when she
It's like,
leaves work and she's coming back home, you don't know who else she's talking to or what she's
what's
doing
up?
before she comes home. You know what I'm saying?
Just don't make no sense.
Yeah. So he was he's trying the hardest to make Steve look like a criminal when he wasn't. And unfortunately that's what happens in real life to a lot of these kids that get caught up in the system, and they might be innocent and nobody would know because the way that it looks, to the jury it's gonna look like, yo, yeah, you guilty, you know what I'm saying. So I thought it was a good nice a little story. And like I said, like we've seen shit like this before. There's nothing groundbreaking here. But I thought it was like a good story. It's definitely a movie that a lot of young teenagers should watch.
I
Like
will
I
give you
would, huh?
I would agree with that.
Yeah, like if you're like 13, 14, and you're a good student and you come from a good home, whether you it's a single parent household or a two parent household, and you're associated with the wrong type of people, this is a movie that they need to watch because this will tell you what and what not to do. You know what I'm saying? Because if you hang with the wrong people, you might end up like Steve Harmon Jr. You know what I'm saying? So I thought it was a nice little film, and you know, growing up, I've always been on the fence with both, you know, having friends that are good and having friends that were in the streets, and knowing the difference between the two. So I never got caught up in that stuff. But a lot of kids are not like that. So a lot of them are impressionable, and they're gonna want to feel like, you know, they want to impress the cool kids or people that look up to in their neighborhood or on their block, and they might do some shit like that, like being a lookout for a robbery attempt at a corner store or something, and end up like Steve. So I think this is a movie that the young kids should watch. So
Yeah, I agree with you on that.
yeah, but definitely a good story, and it had, you know, it was filmed in New York City, so it had that New York vibe to it. You know what I'm saying? And you know, for that alone is I love movies that are from in New York. You know what I'm
I,
saying?
I,
Cause we
I don't blame you.
yeah, cause we have like the landscape for like movies like this. So you know what I'm saying? Like even if it's like a hood film or if it's like an epic film like Independence Day, New York always seems to be like at the center of like those type of films
I
because
agree.
of like the tall buildings and shit in the neighborhood. So
Exactly.
you know, what I mean? But it was a nice little film, nice little story. I like these type of nice little films on Netflix because they have a lot of them on there that go under the radar. You know what I'm saying? Because of the bigger budget, big name actors in those other films. But I like watching little stories like this on Netflix. So it was a
Same.
nice little film. Like on a scale of 1 to 10, I probably give it like a 7.5 or 8.
Yeah, that's pretty much the same for
You
me
know,
too.
it wasn't a classic, but you know, it was a nice little film, and having seeing Nas again in a movie. It's been years. I don't even know the last time I saw Nas in a film. It's been years. So it was nice seeing Nas in there, and ASAP Rocky doing this thing in the film, and you know, you got like a nice cast with Jeffrey Wright. He's a world-renowned actor. He's been in all type of films, Shaft, and he's been in what's the other, the Hunger Games and all that, and
Yeah.
you know what I'm saying, and Jennifer Hudson, you know, she's already done her big stuff with Dream Girls, and you know, so I think it was a nice little film.
Yeah, nice little film
Yeah,
indeed, bro.
no doubt. But this was fun. Another great review. I want to do more reviews like this in the future. You know, and it's not always gonna be about the big budget blockbusters. I want to do like the smaller films, and discuss that because those are the films that are good that nobody talks about. They were talking about the same shit that comes out. I know everybody's gonna talk about Quiet Place 2 when it comes out. And they talking about Army of the Dead. Those are cool, but I want to do like the smaller films. You know, discuss those.
Right. I hear you about your point on
Yeah,
those.
no doubt. So this is That Ain't Rap with Reg and Triborough. So, subscribe to the channel, like, comment, share. Let me know if you've seen this film. What did you think about it? What would you give it on the scale of 1 to 10? You know, drop your comments below.
All right.
Yeah.
Appreciate it, bro.
All right, yo.
All right. Peace.
Peace.